Hello and welcome to the latest in our series of Cornerstone bite-sized videos. I'm Chris,
I'm Nathan, and
and we're
you haven't
going to
really
talk
just
to you
yeah.
today about.
Who knows? Who knows?
We don't
Who
know what
knows?
we're going to talk to you
No,
about.
no.
Should we do a bit about
Well,
lockdown, the sequel?
yeah. It's the 5th of November today as we record this. So lockdown is happening. First day
Mm.
of lockdown 2, and so it's a little bit more confusing than last time. The
Mm.
rules aren't quite as clear, so there's a little bit of I feels like there's quite a lot of anxiety around for people right now. A
Yeah.
little bit worry about the future. Like, is this just going to be a month, or is it going to be slightly longer? What's going to happen with Christmas, New Year? Can I see my family?
It's
All that
more
sort of stuff.
real than last time, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because like we were talking about before we kind of came on, there was that sense of, well, this is new. This is a bit of
yeah,
a novelty. It might be over in a couple of weeks. Who knows? Get to spend a bit of time with family. Isn't that great? All those sorts of things. Whereas now, I think there's probably quite distinct camps that people will fall into, and none of them
yes,
probably are in that sort of rosy, ooh, let's see how this pans out.
yes, yeah. Because it's people there's potential that there's not a potential, like shops are closing, businesses
Mm.
are having to kind of restructure and change how they work. People are losing their jobs because of that, and the schools are open, and there's obviously a mixed bag of thoughts around that.
Yeah.
Like I say, we're in a different position now, whereas beginning of March, so it feels like a very, very long time ago now.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Does Yeah, beginning of March, it was all like that national lockdown of we were all in the same boat together, and we're not quite so much now.
No.
It's and lots has happened. Lots has happened. Just politically, lots has happened, and you know, people people are still quite angry and still quite pissed off with stuff that's happened, and other people
Yeah.
are kind of fully on board with everything that's happened. And I suppose it's more division as kind of
Yeah.
that kind of thing has happened. And people, I was watching something the other day, I can't remember the name of the psychologist I was watching, and they were talking about how humans deal with short-term crisis versus long-term crisis. And
Mm.
we're quite good in a short-term crisis. A few months we can have, go back to the beginning of March, it was all like, hey, we're all in this together, the kind of blitz spirit and all that.
Yeah.
And this time round, I'm not sure that we're going to be in the same mindset, because we've been experiencing since March the same sort of similar thing going on and
Yeah.
on and on. So, we're going to be tired. It's getting dark, cold, wet.
And I think
I'm full of sunshine and happiness
this
today.
this is all positivity today, isn't
It's
it? But
great,
I
isn't it?
think
Yeah.
that's really key. And I think it's been on the horizon for a while, isn't it? This idea that a second lockdown was going to come. You see them kind of springing up all over the world in various different places, and so I guess it was inevitable that at some point it would come. But it's interesting, I suppose, for us as therapists. Historically, this is the time of the year where we would start getting busy.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're not busy already, but we would become even busier with clients. The clock's changing, always a significant psychological thing. The extra hour of darkness, not playing into people's well-being in a positive sense necessarily. The change in temperature, all those sorts of things start playing in. So add this extra little dollop of stuff on top of not really supposed to leave your house for anything other than necessary reasons. I think there's a little bit of a powder keg moment potentially coming. And I don't want to kind of sound all doom and gloom as well, but I think we need to sort of look at proactively what we can do as individuals to make sure that we're going to be okay enough during this
Yeah.
period. One thing that I think has been really positive in the way that messages have been communicated now, and I know it's up for debate, but they've said this is a lockdown until the 2nd of December. So last time we went in, it was mooted that it might be for 3 weeks, but we didn't really know. So our brain copes better when we can bookend things.
Yeah.
So certainly when it comes to trauma or hardship endurance, that sort of thing, if we know there's an end point coming, then that helps us to sustain it. And I suspect that's why they've done it the way that they've done it this time around. It might well change, but at least at the moment we're working to an end point.
Yeah.
And that feels really positive.
I think it's so I suppose we're also been thinking about people who potentially might be struggling again over this month with kind of mental health and stuff, because going back into lockdown, if the first lockdown was difficult, the idea of having 4 more weeks of lockdown is not something to, well, it's just not something we're going to enjoy. You know, it's going to sit in there. So it's going back to it's always about sometimes going back to those basics. What can I do to look after myself? Do I need to be extra kind to myself today because this is hard? Today is difficult. What can I control? What can I control right now? All those sorts of things. You know,
it's been such a key theme, isn't it, throughout all of this?
Yeah,
and all the videos we've done, it's come back to that. Yeah.
It's control. Control is really, I think this has been the year of kind of, what can I control? Because the world sometimes feels so out of control. You know, there have been times this year it's like, okay, I think the world, you know, the world is actually on fire. You know, like genuinely, there are parts of the world that are burning right now. Okay, what can I control? And you know, like our consumption of social media, our consumption of the news. You know, 5th of November today. It's election in the US is still kind of ticking on, likely to tick on for a few more days at least. And you know, I've seen on social media that there's so many people out there who are like, and it's, you know, so it's kind of, I need to limit that. I need to kind of, if I feel my anxiety rising about stuff, I need to keep a check on that. What can I do to bring that back down again?
Yeah. Well, one of the first things I think is really important to remember, like you say, when we're in these sort of like closed environments, stuff snowballs quite quickly in our heads. So we can take a piece of information, and before we know it, the information's become way bigger than it is. There's a 3-word question that we can ask ourselves right at the beginning of our interaction with anything information-wise that comes in. Is it true?
Yes.
And it's so key, because so many times we will take ourselves to spaces of anxiety based on some kind of supposition, some kind of speculation. We don't know if it's true, but we make our body respond as though it is. Yes. And actually, it's really key to try and change that. If we ask ourselves that question about anything, is it true? We can help to sort of calm and regulate our own emotional state. And let's be honest, viewers and listeners, regulating emotional states is going to be really, really important in a period of lockdown when we can't get out as much as we could do in March, because it's not as warm and it's not as nice outside. And there's potential for families to feel a bit combustible, maybe even unsafe.
Yeah, I would take that "is it true" thing a slightly further as well, and be like, because we're very good at ask that question, is it true? And the answer, the brain goes, yes, it is true, yes. And then we follow that. So it's like, how do I know this is true?
Yeah,
is always a good follow-up question.
Where's the evidence? Yeah.
How do I
we're not just talking about tweets from Donald Trump. We're talking about anything in life that might make us feel a certain way. Like I've left the oven on, you know, is it true? Those sorts of things.
And it's also about, I suppose, being proactive in our thinking rather than just reactive or passive. Because often with things like catastrophizing or anxiety, you know, worrying, I become very passive in that time. It's just a thing that happens in my head, and I'm just sat there letting it happen. And how can I become proactive in that moment? What can I do to gain control back?
Your video seems to have disappeared.
It's all right. Someone's phoning me. The random London number was phoning me. That's okay.
Cold callers,
probably. So how can I remain? I've completely forgotten what I was saying. Control, something like that. Yeah.
How can I remain grounded and kind of in that space of being in control, being grounded, being present in light of things around me, not feeling as though they're leading me to that space. It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is.
I know we were talking about it before we kind of came on, but it feels like there's 3 specific camps that people might sit in at the moment. One could be, you know, yay, lockdown, more time with the family, maybe, potentially. Yeah. Another one could be, lockdown, this is terrifying. And another camp could just be, yeah, whatever. And they kind of feel like the 3 camps that people are going to be in. And
yeah,
I don't know. I wonder where people genuinely feel it is. You know, I get that it's tricky to kind of comment on this sort of Facebook video, but I wonder for people to reflect on, are those 3 camps right? Do I feel like I'm in one of those? Am I in a different space? You know, do I take it or leave it? A lot of clients at the moment talk about worries over Christmas.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of uncertainty around the future. Like, what can we do? What will I be allowed to do? Am I just going to flout the rules and break them? You know,
Yeah.
is that okay? Is that safe? Like, there's lots of questions. And I think it's balancing up that kind of what I want to do. You know, there's loads of people who want to spend time with their family at Christmas and kind of gather together, versus should I? Because my granddad, should they be mixing with large groups of people? I mean, it's probably good for them too, but from a mental health perspective, but from a health perspective,
Yeah.
And all those things. So there's lots of big questions that that are going to face us over the next few months, and it's how do I manage that? How do I keep myself going in that time? Like with choice fatigue and just general fatigue and mental health kind of dipping and going up, and financial worries and Brexit happening in January and all this sort of stuff. I said the B word. I said it. I did. I said it. I'm sorry.
Isn't it funny how often as therapists we will sort of encourage people to be as much as they can present and in the moment? And I always find it interesting. I have found it interesting this year on reflection, those talks about challenging people to get out of their past or get out of their head out of the future and be in the present. If the present is a really uncomfortable place to be, why would we want to encourage people to be there?
Yeah.
I struggle to find an answer for that. I don't know. Why would I tell you? Be present with the fear over a global pandemic. Be present with the fear that you've been furloughed or you've been made redundant or whatever it might be. Some people don't want to be present with that. And I get there's a sense of packaging and processing and moving through it. And we can normalize it by saying, oh, we're all in this together. But actually, we are and we aren't, because we're all in it to varying different degrees based on financial security, emotional security, all that sort of stuff. So no one's in exactly the same space as you are.
Yeah. The thing I saw the other day was that it was a cartoon that was drawn, and they were like, we're all in the same ocean. We're just not in the same boats.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
Some people aren't even in boats, and other people are in ocean liners and super yachts. Yeah. And like, that's the difference. And it's like, okay, so where am I? And it's the one thing this pandemic has shown is it's not an equalizer, it's not a leveler, because some people it's barely touched them, and other people it's been the worst possible thing that could ever happen. Yeah. So and I think it's almost patronizing to be like to be in a super yacht and be going like, well, we're all experiencing the same thing. No, we're not.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we should spend a bit of time sort of talking about the support that we can offer, because we've got sort of two strands of what we're doing at the moment. We've got, we're not able to meet people face to face at the moment, unfortunately, to do face to face sessions, and we're kind of taking it under guidance at the moment. The idea of therapy, going for walks and that sort of thing. We're erring on the side of caution, but from a responsibility perspective, really. Yeah. But online therapy is very much in existence, and for anybody who's struggling, for anybody who things are getting on top of them perhaps a little bit and needs that outlet to be able to talk to, Cornerstone is very much open for business through Zoom, through FaceTime, Skype, traditional phone call, whatever. Really, we can facilitate FaceTime. We can facilitate therapy rather in that kind of way. And also for people who work for the NHS, we're really conscious that there's you're probably a little bit busy at the moment, and potentially there's stress going on. Who knows? I think we probably all do. But we thank you for the work that you do. And we're offering a bit of a check-in service for NHS employees. So by all means, if that's you and you're struggling processing a shift, some stuff going on at work, residue left over from work, whatever it might be, make contact with us and we'll arrange a time free of charge to just sort of give you opportunity to download where you are. We've put that in place back in March, actually, and it's still in place now. I know we often get asked the same thing, all well and good for NHS, but there are other key workers, and yeah, absolutely, and we fully understand that. So we've worked with Wellington Community Counselling, who will be able to offer a similar service for key workers who don't work for the NHS. So we've taken on the NHS, and the Wellington Community Counselling will work with all other key workers to provide that similar service. So there are therapy options readily accessible within Wellington and the surrounding area for those who feel they need it. And sometimes we just kind of need to cut to the chase a little bit, that people are going through it. We know that. We're here, we're open, and we're available to support.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of other things I suppose I want to mention on that as well. Is that obviously therapy is not a 24-hour service, and we're not available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So there are people out there who are. So like Samaritans, they're 24 hours, 7 days a week, and you definitely will get your phone call answered, because because the way their systems worked, you'll try and get someone local. If there's no one local available, they'll go further and further apart until you find some. So just keep on the phone, keep ringing. They will answer. Mindline Somerset, which I can never remember the number of, but if you Google it, it comes up. They're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and Mind locally have some really cool stuff happening right now. So check them out. The open mental health thing they've just launched is pretty good, but it's just been launched. But ring them up and find out about it. And there's then like Age UK. If you qualify for Age UK, then they've got a line you can ring up and talk to people as well. And Calm, if you're a bloke, ring Calm. They are awesome. But yeah, so they're the ones that I think are useful to kind of use in those times when you need to just chat to someone. If you can't afford to come to therapy, or it's 3 o'clock in the morning, they're all good.
Yep. There's crisis service and non-crisis service, as we call it kind of in the industry. So the services that Nathan's talking about would be very much crisis service. If you need help and you need help right there, you get in contact with those people. If you want sort of that relational staged approach over a few weeks, however that may look for you, then that will be more of a therapeutic angle, which is definitely where we could come in and offer help in that way. Cool. So if you wanted to contact us to talk about therapy, then our website is cornerstonesw.co.uk. You can email us at contact@cornerstonesw.co.uk, and we're on Instagram. These videos normally end up on YouTube in some way, shape or form. We've got a Facebook page. By all means, interact with us. By all means, send us Facebook messages. We don't bite. We don't anticipate that everybody who messages us automatically is coming into therapy. There's genuinely no element of hard sell whatsoever. We're here to listen. We're here to offer help and support. If that help or support isn't with us, but it's with another agency, then we will have done and will continue to signpost people to the most appropriate place for where they need. But we're here, we're around, and we're able to support. Do we need to cover up anything else today, Mr. Fox?
I don't think so. We better stop, because I think we're getting less and less bite size as we go on. So
yes, I think we've managed an amuse-bouche today, which is
yes, we have. I think we should just end it, because it's quite exciting to do a short one.
Let's end it there. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.